Hello, fellow biblical scholars. We are on day 49, and the reading is Leviticus 16 to 18. So, in chapter 16, God talks about the Day of Atonement. And so, this is basically when all of the Israelites kind of confess all of their wrongdoings, all of their sins, and make the appropriate sacrifices, and then God forgives everybody. He also provides specific instructions to Aaron on how he can enter the most holy place behind the curtain in front of the atonement cover of on the ark. And then one thing that I found interesting in the text is the idea of a scapegoat came out, and I don't know if like the scapegoat is like the person who takes the blame for everything usually, right? And in the Bible, it's a literal goat that they basically tell all of the Israelites sins and everything that they did wrong to this goat, and then the goat is released into the wilderness. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that scapegoat came, from the Bible. So I thought that that was a little interesting piece of tidbit, a interesting tidbit there. So then, in chapter 16, it also mentions that the Day of Atonement should be on the 10th day of the seventh month, and that's about July, right? January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, July. So July 10th. But the Day of Atonement, in today's side, or the Jewish people refer to it as Yom Kippur, and that's usually in September, right? Yeah, I think that's in September. So I was confused on like the timing of when this should happen, or maybe I just don't know when their new year starts or something. I don't know. But I thought that that was something to look into, because I'm like, it's not aligning in my head. Um, the 10th day of the seventh month and the Day of Atonement, which I thought was Yom Kippur, but I could be wrong. I'm not Jewish. So then we progress to chapter 17, and in chapter 17, basically don't eat blood. Okay, blood is forbidden. The idea is that the blood of the animal is used to make the atonement, and God explains that for the life of a creature is in the blood, so don't eat it. And then we go into chapter 18, where God is basically laying down law and saying, don't do this, don't do that. And I really like that he got to like, don't sleep with relatives. Like, he finally said no incest, because remember in the earlier books, everybody was sleeping with everybody, cousins, sisters, daddies. They didn't care. Like, and I thought that was very weird. But here, God is kind of putting it into perspective of no, don't do that. Also, in this chapter, you see that God is basically letting them know that there is grace through atonement, but he's letting the people of Israel know that he expects a higher standard from them. He's letting them know that, if you don't follow and keep the laws, you'll end up like the people who are removed from the land. In fact, it said that the land vomited the people. The people vomited all of its inhabitants, which I assume the inhabitants are the people. Now, how the land vomited, I don't know. Other biblical scholars was speaking about volcanoes, maybe some natural disasters, just basically to get the people out of the land. It didn't say; it just said vomited. So that's something to do further research on as well. In this chapter, God also makes mention of an deity, like an idol named Malik. Again, I don't know if I said that right, but apparently this is a god that the Canaanites make sacrifices to. But the specific sacrifices that they made are babies. And, in today's time, we all are, obsessed with the with the Epstein files. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But in there, there's chatter about like eating babies and stuff. So I'm wondering if they like worshiping this Malik god or idol. I don't know, but that's what came to my mind when I read about Malik. And basically, God said, don't give your offsprings to this idol. And I think this is the first time that I'm seeing God make mention of another idol. Like, I know Moses had destroyed the idol when he came down from Mount Sinai, but I don't think God was like, don't do blah blah blah. He said no idols at that point. And this time he's naming the idol, specifically the idol of Moloch. Don't give your offspring to them. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Go read it for yourself. Come back and let's chat about it, okay? Let's go Bible.